Growing up, we were taught this idealistic idea of love, that love is unconditional, love conquers everything. From Hollywood movies to rom-coms to TV shows, people telling you about love, whether that be your friends, your family, your parents, authority figures, etc. And that was definitely me in my past relationships. I had this idealistic idea of love that no matter what problems, no matter what issues, it doesn't matter because we love each other. And my girlfriends at the time felt the same way. No matter what problems, issues, arguments we had, as long as we loved each other, that was okay. But the older you get, the more you realize that there's absolutely no such thing as unconditional love in this world. The closest thing we have to unconditional love is probably the love you get from your mom. But even that's flawed, right? Because there are some moms out there that are abusive or have resentment towards their kids, etc., etc. Unconditional love really only comes from God. Just God and no one else. Because there were no conditions that had to have been met for him to love us. And this sounds harsh, but there's been no girl who's ever loved a guy more after he became unemployed. Like, oh yeah, I became more attracted to him after he lost his job and I woke up every morning going to work while he's in his boxers or wife beater making eggs in the kitchen in the morning. Like, hey babe, how's work today? As she has to pay most of the bills. And this isn't something that people like to acknowledge because it's unattractive to say this, but every guy knows instinctually that a girl's love for him is based on what he's able to provide. This is why we'll die chasing success, just relentlessly striving towards it every single day. And by the way, I'm not saying that that love can't be based on other things. She could love you for the way you make her laugh, how comfortable you make her feel, how you make her feel safe, protected, all those things, right? Like, I'm not saying her love for you is simply based on what you provide. Like, she could also love you for your personality, all that, right? But all of that is predicated on the basis of what you provide. Like, if a homeless dude makes her laugh, makes her feel comfortable, they connect on a deeper level, all that, right? She's still not gonna be with him because he's not able to provide what she needs. Like, every guy knows this, right? But there's gonna be some girl out there watching this thinking, who hurt you, red pill, toxic masculinity, etc. But it's like, it's not even red pill, it's just reality. And I'll tell you how I know I'm right. If you meet a girl, right? If you start dating a girl, if one of your homies starts dating a girl, the first thing they'll ask when you tell them you've met a girl, you're dating a girl, they'll ask, hey, let me see what she looks like. But if a girl meets a guy, if she starts dating a guy, her friends are gonna ask her, what does he do? And it's not like they're evil or anything like that, it's just biological. That's why I think there's a rawness or authenticity to young love that isn't there when you get older. Because when you're young, that love is purely based upon how you feel when you're with that person. And when it comes to love, dating, and relationships in general, when your expectation doesn't meet with reality, it's almost never gonna work out. That's why you gotta realize that unconditional love really only comes from God. Because if you search for that in another person, you're almost always gonna be let down. You gotta remember that people are loyal to themselves first and foremost. Almost every interaction you have with every person is a transaction in some way, shape, or form. Every relationship. Whether that's a transaction of camaraderie, feelings, vibes, even something material. When a girl's attracted to you or has feelings for you, those feelings are based upon conditions that you initially met. And this is actually where a lot of people get it messed up. They think because once you got that person, once you guys are in love, that love is forever. And you kind of fail to realize that you have to keep those initial conditions that were met that got you her in the first place. Whether it's your physique, your charisma, your charm, your status, your career, your romance, whatever. You gotta keep those conditions and constantly improve. Otherwise, that's when she starts losing attraction and starts falling out of love. Cause after a while passes by, after the honeymoon stage is over, that's where all the small little problems and arguments starts coming up and you don't even know where they came from. And then you start having these arguments where you don't even know what you're arguing about. A lot of that resentment comes from the fact that those conditions are no longer being met. And then that's when they start entertaining someone else who does meet those conditions. I wrote a lot of notes for these, by the way. I'm not just turning on the camera and yapping. But when you start to understand that there's no such thing as unconditional love, you start to have clarity as a guy as it pertains to what you gotta do, what you gotta become, in order to be with the individual that you want. And you think about the conditions that have to be met to get that person. Man, now that I'm talking about it, it sounds like a lot of work. But that's why I catch myself reminiscing on the idea of young love sometimes. You know, when it's not based upon what you provide, who you are in the world, how much money you got. I mean, it's fun, don't get me wrong, you know, we all love competition. But back then it was purely based upon how you feel. Whereas when you get older, it's still based upon how you feel. Again, don't misinterpret my point. But it's also a little bit like a job application. You know, what boxes do you check? What can you provide? What are you good at? And you know what's funny is that most girls will probably disagree with this because girls are the ones most idealistic when it comes to love and relationships and dating. And most girls would agree with the idea of unconditional love because they're the ones that consume, you know, rom-coms and Hollywood and reality shows and things of that nature. Not just girls, but a lot more than guys. You get my point. So they'll all disagree with what I'm saying. But if I say never stop dating your girlfriend or your wife, they'll all agree with that. Because they think of flowers, candlelit dinners, romance, etc, etc. But as guys, we know that never stop dating your girlfriend means never stop improving yourself. You know, a few people that watch some of my videos have told me that it has an undertone of kind of red pill. But to me, it's like, it's not red pill. It's just, these are things that most guys come to realize as they get older in the world. Like, there's a reason why most guys in America are conservative. There's a reason why most guys that started as liberals become conservative as they get older. It's because the world, as you get older, shows you the reality. And by the way, even if you can find someone out there, if you can find a woman out there who is with someone who can't provide for her at all, but she just loves him, his personality, and the way she feels with him, and she does everything for him and he doesn't provide anything at all. I mean, I personally don't know one, but even if you can find an example, that's still an extreme outlier. And the exception doesn't make the rule. Remember, every single human being is self-interested. Even if you do charitable acts, even if you give money to the homeless, you're still doing that because it makes you feel good. And in a sense, love is no different. You love someone because of the way they make you feel, because of what they can provide, because of X, Y, and Z. No matter how much you love someone, there's something they can do that will cause you to no longer love them. Now, some people have different tolerances for this, right? Like, for example, some people would forgive their partner for cheating because they love them. But then let's say they cheated on you with your best friend. Maybe they might still love them. Maybe even after that, they might still love them. What if they cheat on you with your cousin, or your sister, or your brother? The reality is there's no such thing as unconditional love. The only true unconditional love is from God. Yo, I'm cooking with this one, low-key, huh? And you don't realize that you have to keep those initial conditions that were met when you first got her to be f***ing eggs, dude. I'm tired of shit.